Earnings season. It's October 22nd, 2025. We're well on our way through some of the banks and the tech stocks, and to be frank, it's not looking good right now. But we had Zion's report. They're the one that was accused of fraud. And someone said, from I believe it's the JP Morgan Chase CEO said if there's one cockroach, there's many more cockroaches. And so, is there a looming credit crisis, or are the big players just trying to get in cheaper bank stock prices? Yet to be seen. I'm watching it closely. Tech stocks are in full swing. We had TSM earlier this month. Now, this week, we had Netflix down on earnings, Tesla down on earnings, IBM down. So I think you see a theme that we're in a downtrend right now. And so if you're buying calls on any earnings this week or maybe even early next week, I mean, you're in the wrong direction. Let's take a look at the charts because that's really what tells us what's going on. First, starting with the market, we're in a pretty steep downtrend, but there is hope that we found a support level here. I'm not convinced it'll stay, but I mean, I have nothing to base that on right now. Um, we have a support line down here, and we have a resistance line right here. To break out of this resistance, we really need a catalyst. And because we're trading in sort of this range, I expect until we have an earnings that just blows us out of the water or government is reopened announcement, I can't expect us to break out to all-time highs. Same story in SPY, QQQ, IWM has a similar story where it's just in a downtrend. And, we really need some sort of catalyst to push us back up. So let's take a look at Netflix. Actually, let's first look at TSM. TSM was really what kicked things off, I think, and set us into a bearish market. Not to blame TSM. I mean, there's macro factors that are more to blame, I think. But TSM, what happened is we had a nice rise up on some big news. We had sort of our max relative volume right the day before earnings. Earnings was actually quite good. But then you see the talk just tanked that day, right in the toilet, continuing down in this downtrend. That's continued resistance, and it even looks like it's accelerating. Now, what happened? Well, this is the market saying that, hey, AI is great, but, it looks like the demand is starting to slow down. And with how overvalued tech stocks are, they have many years of tech AI booming factored in. That's the beginning of the TSM downtrend. And I won't be touching this until it has a clean break above this resistance, and chances are it'll be maybe down by the 200 EMA. And I don't know, who knows? Maybe we'll have a nice big correction that goes down even more. That's okay by me too. Um, let's look at other tech stocks. Netflix. Netflix reported they did not have good earnings, and they bounced downward right out of this wedge. I'm not surprised by that. I mean, who has money to afford Netflix among all the other inflation-related expenses now? Tesla, they actually right before their earnings, they broke out of a downward trend. Then earnings hit, and now look, just after hours tanking. I kind of think this will continue. I don't think we're going to see it bounce above this downward trend line again. I mean, it depends. It depends. I don't know what's going to happen. Now, other stocks like Intel, I'm not going to play Intel. That's a Trump stock, and I think we're going to see more retracement on Trump stocks. One I played was MP. And MP, I mean, just look at this. Yeah, so there's the Trump rumors, and then there's clearly some insider trading back here, for sure, and some people accumulating, and then the huge run up, and now the huge tank, and it's already retraced. Not quite to pre-Trump levels. Maybe I'll have to do more research. Maybe pre-Trump levels was back here or something like that. So we still have a ways to go with MP if it's going to go down. But using that same sort of logic with Intel, I mean, there's no way I'm going to play calls on this earnings. If I were to play it, which I'm not, I would bet puts. Then, yeah, we talked about Tesla. We have IBM. Oh, look at that. Good earnings, but clearly their forward-looking guidance was negative. To be honest, I don't even have any useful lines drawn on this chart, But if I were to guess, any earnings this week is going to be down. Real quick, just looking at finance companies, here's Zion Bank. Yeah, not touching anything out of Utah right now. Too much risk of fraud. Finance, XLF, yep, in a downtrend. Not touching it till it breaks out of this. What other earnings are coming up? Amazon is next week. That's one I'm actually kind of excited for. You know, the question is, are we going to enter a bear market? We're currently still in a bull market. We're in a little bit of a pullback, but are we going to enter a bull market, or is there a chance we could break back upwards and reach all-time highs again? I think if one company is going to help us do that, it's going to be Amazon, because we saw earlier this week Amazon, their DynamoDB servers were broken and the whole internet went down. So they're absolutely valuable. So I think they could have a good earnings and a good reaction to earnings, which is the most important part, that caused us to break out. Or, of course, the alternate case is they just go down because everything else is going down. That's also possible. On snow, what I'm looking at, this is a little bit out. This is the end of November now, but I think it's going to keep going up higher and break down on this resistance line as part of earnings. It's done in the past before. Anytime it's created a ascending wedge, and I think it rises too fast, too furious. So let's see what happens with earnings. I'm excited.